If you are about to buy anything for your gut this Friday, watch this first. Because the entire internet is about to tell you a lie that your gut can be fixed with a discount code. Detox kits, probiotic with countdown timers, colon cleanses in neon fonts promising fix your digestion for less. So, I want to plant one sentence in your mind and then prove it to you step by step. My gut is not on sale this Black Friday, and neither should be yours. If you have GI issues, that sentence might be the most important financial decision you make this year. Let's start with one simple question. What actually changes your gut over the long term? Not over 24 hours, years. When you talk to gastroenterologists, dietitians, pelvic floor physios, when you read the boring guidelines, the same themes keep coming back. First, there is structural clarity. Do you have polyps, inflammation, narrowing, anything serious that needs to be found and treated? That's colonoscopies at the right age and risk, blood work that looks at anemia and inflammation, sometimes imaging. That's the difference between I am constipated and I have something in my colon we need to deal with. Second, there is your pattern of living, what you eat most of the time, when you eat, how late you eat, whether your bulbs get predictable window every day or are squeezed between calls and kids. How much do you move versus sip? Whether your sleep is wrecked, how often your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight. Third, there is targeted treatment, not random pills, but things that map to mechanism. PPIs and H2 blockers when reflux is real and severe. Biologics for IBD, pelvic floor physio for outlet problems, cognitive behavioral therapy when the brain gut loop is clearly involved. Real plans, not vibes. And then, after all of that, there are supportive tools, fibers, certain probiotics, stool softeners, enemas, electrolytes, a stool to put your feet up in the bathroom, a pressure cooker so you can eat beans without exploding. Now, here is the uncomfortable truth. Black Friday lives almost entirely in that last categories. The easiest to package, least important lever gets the biggest megaphone. The result is a distortion. Prices scream at you from the least important layer. The most important layers, diagnosis, patterns, real treatments are silent. If you follow the volume instead of the actual leverage, you will systematically spend money on the smallest levers and ignore the ones that decide your future. That's why I say my gut is not on sale. It's not a slogan. It's a correction to that distortion. Now, if you are generally healthy and just want better digestion, this might just be an expensive hobby. But if you are my real audience with chronic constipation, IBS, IBD, rectal bleeding, reflux that wakes you up, unexplained fatigue, or weight shifts, of family history of GI disease, Black Friday is not a harmless festival. It's an attention trap. Because most of the products thrown at you this weekend quietly assumes one thing, that your problem is an input problem. Take this, swallow this, sprinkle this. And all the complex, structural, immune, and nervous system pieces of your story magically simplify into I bought something. But if your real risk is colon cancer, no 40% of probiotic replaces a colonoscopy. If your real problem is pelvic floor dysfunction, no cleanse kit is going to retrain those muscles. If your flare is driven by stress and hypervigilance, no powder is going to rewire your nervous system for you. So, the first failure of Black Friday gut culture is simple. It sells input tweaks to people who may have structural, mechanical, immune, or brain gut problems. Wrong class of solution. Cheap but wrong. The second failure is quieter but just as destructive. Most people with GI issues have been doing experiments on themselves for years, not just in a way that produces learning. New probiotic when things get bad, new tea when someone posts a reel, new fiber when a friend swears by it, new cleanse when fear spikes, all of it layered on top of chaotic sleep, random eating, travel, stress, and no baseline. From a scientific perspective, it's like changing 5 variables at once and expecting a clean result. There is no before, there is no after, there is just noise. Black Friday doesn't fix that. It accelerates it. Suddenly, there are 3 more things in the cabinet, 3 more variables, and the same level of confusion. If you think of your body as system you're trying to understand, Black Friday is like pouring static into the signal. The third failure is where people really get hurt. A stimulant laxative on sale can make you feel dramatically better tomorrow morning. That's real. The relief is real. But the question is not just, did I poop? It's, what problem did I just cover up? What habit did I just reinforce? What warning signal did I just mute? If your pattern becomes panic, buy, suppress, forget, repeat, the price you pay is not just in dollars, it's in delays, delayed diagnosis, delayed clarity, delayed serious conversations with clinicians, delayed taking your own symptoms seriously. Discounted interventions tend to pull your questions down to their level. How cheap is it? Replaces, what is this actually for? Does it work tonight? Replaces, what does this do to the next 6 months of my health? And underneath all of this lies the most expensive failure, where your attention goes. Money is not your scarcest resource. Attention is. Most people with chronic GI problems have the bandwidth to change maybe one meaningful thing per month. One test you finally schedule, one sleep window you actually protect, one bowel routine you finally commit to, one meal pattern you actually stabilize. Every minute you spend comparing gut bundles, reading breathless sales copy, and chasing coupon codes is a minute that isn't going into those moves. That's not neutral, that's lost leverage. So when I say my gut is not on sale, I am not trying to sound poetic or righteous. I am being practical. It's not a moral stance. It's an attention budget. Okay, so if we stop letting sales dictate our decisions, what do we do instead? I don't think you need another holiday gut checklist. You have seen enough of those. I would rather you use this weekend as an audit. Start with the stuff. Look at everything you have bought for your gut in the last year. Not to punish yourself, but to ask better questions. This helped me or it did not. I use this consistently or I did not. I saw a real change in my stool, my symptoms, my labs, or I just felt hopeful for 3 days and then forgot. When you do that honestly, that cabinet full of products stops being a symbol of failure and becomes a dataset. You see experiments that clearly did not work and can be retired. You see a few that may be deserve a real structured trial. You see patterns in your own behavior. Then move from stuff to risk. Put your actual GI risk profile in one place. Your age, your family history, whether you have seen blood, whether symptoms wake you up at night, whether your weight has changed without explanation, whether anyone has ever scoped you or seriously evaluated you. You are not playing doctor. You are doing something very simple, asking if your current behavior matches your real risk. Because if you write down, I am over this is, I have seen blood more than once, there is family history, and I have never had a colonoscopy, and your main Black Friday plan is to buy out gut supplements, you don't have a shopping problem. You have a mismatch problem. And that is the riskiest part of your situation. And this is the part people underestimate. Give yourself one constraint for the next month that make your body more learnable, not a whole new identity or constraint. Maybe it's same safe breakfast every weekday. So you stop changing 3 things at once. Maybe it's no new gut products until you have tracked symptoms for 30 days. Maybe it's 10 minutes on the toilet every morning without your phone at the same time just to see what happens. when your brain isn't scrolling and your pelvic floor isn't bracing. You know your life. You choose the constraint. The point is that constraints create signal. Black Friday creates noise. Now, where does my company fit into this? Idon Gutsphere. We are building a GI Copilot. But we are not building it because the world needs one more gut thing to throw on the pile. We are building it because the raw data of your gut, the meals, the bowel movements, the sleep, the stress spikes, the flares, the meds is already there. It's just scattered across your memory, your notes, and your lab portal. Humans are terrible at holding those patterns in their head. We forget, we rationalize, we cherry pick. So, Gutsphere is our attempt to give you an instrument panel instead of another slot machine. A place where your experiments, your symptoms, your routines don't vanish, but add up to something you and your clinicians can actually act on. That's also why we are not doing a Black Friday promotion. I don't want Gutsphere to be an impulse purchase. If you ever use it, I would rather it be on random Tuesday in March when you are calm and you have decided, I'm done improvising, I want to understand this. So let's land this. During Black Friday, the levers that actually decide your GI future, diagnosis, patterns, targeted treatment, consistent behaviors, never go on. The levers that don't matter as much get louder, cheaper, shinier, more urgent. If you let discounts choose what you do next, you will reliably overpay in the only currency that matters, years of trial and error. So this year, my gut is not on sale, not my colon, not my fear, not my attention. Yours doesn't have to be either. If you want more content that treats GI health like an engineering and clinical problem instead of a shopping category, you can subscribe. If you have a friend who buys a new gut fix every sale season, send this to them. Then close the cart, reclaim your attention, and do one real thing for your gut instead of 5 cheap ones. That decision will outperform every doorbuster you see today.